right, well, we'll get going here. We appreciate everybody taking time to jump on this virtual meeting, considering everything that's going on. I appreciate everyone taking the time. I, sincerely hope everyone, you, your loved ones, your friends, your staff are healthy and safe as we continue to navigate our new, I guess you could say, not so normal lives. Obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic rapidly entered our society and our lives in more ways than myself or anyone could imagine. And after speaking with many of you on the phone, have lots of conversations of late with our officers and our board and our lobbyists and our staff, it's obviously apparent that we're all facing uncertain times, and this pandemic has affected all of us in similar but different ways. There are a lot of resources out there right now. There's a lot of good information, but there's also a lot of inaccurate information. I know that the PGA of America, and I think Tony will speak of this later on when he gives the national update, is doing a tremendous job of filtering through all the information and the resources that are out there to equip our members and associates with the best resources available and the most accurate and up-to-date information, so that our members, you all, can best navigate the challenges that are in front of us, whether it's personal, professional, business related, resources and information. PGA.org seems to be a tremendous one-stop resource for all those things. For you right now, I know the PGA of America, your officers, your board, your staff is working tirelessly to provide you with the resources and the information needed. I think Dana's done a great job, so we thank him for that. We've been on, conversations and calls and video conferences with the PGA and, allied associations, seems like almost daily, staying on top of the available resources through the PGA, the state level information as it pertains to our industry, staying on top the best we can of what's happening in El Paso. It's a little more difficult to navigate that channel as we don't have the ends that we do in New Mexico, but through various members have been communicating with us and keeping us up to date as things are changing down there. So we appreciate all that information. And I just know that Dana is working hard and doing a great job passing this information along. We've been on calls as it pertains to dues, the Relief Act from the government. Our officers, like I said, Dave, our lobbyist, has been a tremendous resource at this point. And again, I believe all of our staff and our contacts have done a great job. So just definitely a thank you to Dana. Thank you to our fellow officers and board and Dave and everybody for the work that we've done thus far, continuing to update our membership. So for our members that are on the call here, and I'd like to welcome and truly appreciate Tony, our District 12 Director, for jumping on the call. I know he's got a lot going on. Bruce is also participating in the meeting, so we appreciate that. And Anthony from one of our own, and now obviously involved with PGA Junior League, will give us an update, all things PGA Junior League as it pertains to the season, and kind of the processes and thoughts that they're going through with that. I also like to, on a positive note, congratulate our newly elected board members, or I guess you could say re-elected, Vern, Zach, Nick, and welcome a new member to the board, Evan. I think we're moving forward. We got a great board. Evan will be a great addition, representing the kind of northwestern part of the state. So I think that's all positive. And we hope to keep this meeting pointed with relevant information. I obviously wish we were delivering this content under different circumstances, but I know we'll get through this together. there'll be, obviously a lot of communication here for the members that are muted and listening in. On the bottom, there's a chat function. If there's any questions, thoughts, or concerns as we, dive into this information, please feel free to, ask your question in the chat format down there. Dana will kind of look at that, and then we'll answer everybody's questions to the best of our ability at the end during open forum. So I'll jump into advocacy. Obviously, this is a hot topic. I know after speaking with a lot of our members through some phone calls, and our officers have been making phone calls, there's a lot of different opinions out there. It's been difficult to balance fighting for our industry and working towards expressing our desire to be a partner to the state and our communities as we navigate this pandemic. Health and safety first continues to be the priority, and through our commitment, our commitment to health and safety, we know that we're on the right track, and we've positioned golf as a viable industry to get our economy going again while providing a safe environment for people, to exercise their mind and their bodies. Mental health, open space recreation, the economy. We know these things are on the mind of our elected officials and leaders. We've expressed that through the golf industry, we can meet these needs in a responsible and safe environment. You all should have gotten our advocacy letter that went out on Friday. It went out to numerous elected officials, and it went out to our membership as well. We outlined in that advocacy letter many best practices that, obviously our industry is willing to implement when it's deemed appropriate to open our facilities back up. I just feel it's important that we all adhere to these best practices, obviously as a collective whole, when we're permitted to open our facilities to the public. We also have commitment from our partners, the Sun Country Amateur Association, the Rio Grande Superintendent Association, and they'll be doing their part with their members as the policy set forth when we are allowed to reopen our industry. Prior to sending out our advocacy letter, just know, to all our members that we've been communicating with elected officials, most notably the Lieutenant Governor, Howie. He's been a good voice of reason and a good advocate for us in our industry. Senator Griggs has also seemed to be of late kind of jumping on with us and helping us navigate these channels and get our message out there at the state level. I know we're on the right track, but I also know it's difficult as this continues to prolong and our businesses are shut down. We just have to realize we're not alone in this struggle, and through the advice of our lobbyists, the Lieutenant Governor, and other officials, we're making the right moves. We've positioned our industry as a possible test industry to get our economy going again in a responsible way with health and safety first. We're being heard, and we're being heard by the right people, so I think that's important. And just know the decisions that we made to this point, although they've been difficult and we've maybe had some different opinions at times, but that our board and the decisions that we have made, and with the officers and through Dana and through our lobbyists and the communications that we've had, they have been calculated, and they've been in the best interest of our members and the public and our industry. We just need to be committed and continue to be unified in our message, and obviously as we get up and going, we need to continue to work together. So that's where we're at as far as advocacy. Obviously, things are changing day to day in New Mexico. They're changing across the country, and we just have to be patient to the best of our abilities and know that we're making the right moves. We're talking to the right people. We're unified in our message, and we're ready to serve when it's deemed most appropriate. So if you have any questions or thoughts or concerns to where we're at as far as the Sun Country PGA and the message and the information and the direction we're going on, please feel free to, again, throw out your information or your question in that chat function, and we'll get to that at the end of this in open forum. So I'll move on to dues. Dues has kind of been a hot topic across the country. It seems like it's been pretty quiet as far as the Sun Country PGA, and maybe, you know, maybe through this meeting we'll get some more opinions from y'all, and definitely we'd welcome that. As of right now, section dues have been pushed back till July 31st. National dues have been pushed back to October 31st with no real late penalties. Obviously, do what you can to pay your dues, specifically on the national level. And I think Tony will speak to some of this in his report. But you essentially have till June 30 of 2021 to pay your national dues. Our section office and many others are working with the PGA of America on, you know, the best possible option for our members when it comes to options for our members paying dues. I know that the national office is willing to work with sections, and everyone is exploring options. Although eliminating dues is not an option for our tax status with either the section, our section, and national as a 501c6, not-for-profit, and inurement laws. Reduction of section dues, a discount, if you will, is a topic of discussion. We'll continue to look at that. But again, this might jeopardize ours and the PGA of America's tax status and potentially affect APD funding. So we need to tread lightly there. The PGA of America understands that our 41 sections are all unique, and I believe together through the PGA of America we'll find best solutions for our section when it comes to dues. Payment plans are options, loans have been options, possibly discounting dues, but again, we got to tread lightly there, and possibly postponing payment further are all possibilities. And, you know, as your officers, we're working with Dana on best possible solutions for our section. So that's where we're at with dues at this point. There's continuing to be conversation and updates, and as we navigate through this, we'll obviously continue to disseminate information to you all. The PGA America is working on a national relief plan. This plan is separate from the disaster relief fund that's currently in place. The PGA believes there might be some opportunities to move some reserve funds around into a fund specifically for this pandemic, where members would have the opportunity to apply. It is and would be a fund that's open, and it's important to note, to all golf-related organizations throughout our industry that have been affected. But through this fund that would be managed, I believe, by a third party. And again, I think Tony will update us maybe a little bit more on this. But through this fund and the way it would be structured is really the best possibility and opportunity to increase some opportunities and some aids and some funds that would be available to our members here in our section and across the country. The CARES Act continues to be a hot topic, and there's a lot of information out there as we continue to navigate it. One thing that was left out of the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP as they're kind of labeling it, 501c6 and 501c7s were not included. This obviously affects our section, it affects the national office, and affects many private clubs. I was on a conference call a couple of days ago. It was all kind of a blur at this point, but I know the PGA of America is actively and has been lobbying to have that amended. I'm not sure if that's going to go through, but the PGA of America is advocating for it. I think it's also a good idea that, you know, we work through our state level to provide information to, to our government, to our governor, as it relates to the CARES Act and how it specifically affects our industry, but also kind of the tone is that there's a lot of other industries that operate these not-for-profits under 501c6 and 501c7 tax statuses. And, obviously collectively, we're all more powerful than just the golf industry. And I know that's the angle that the PGA is trying to pursue. So we'll just have to see where that goes. We've sent out a lot of information to try and help our members, help you all. And I know the PGA of America through pga.org is a good resource to navigate the CARES Act as far as applying for the Paycheck Protection Plan as a golf operation, and also help your employees navigate, the unemployment process if that's what you had to do to this point. So that's where we're at, kind of on that as far as the National Relief Plan. Moving on to revenue sharing agreement, we did sign a new agreement with the Sun Country Amateur Association. This is good through 2020 to 2022. We will now have a sliding scale as the Sun Country Amateur Golf Association membership increases. The amount per membership paid will increase with a max of $4. The amount that directly goes into our bank account, so to speak, will remain the same, $1.25 per membership, but the amount that will go to the Junior Golf Foundation will increase again as the Sun Country Amateur Association, more handicaps and more members is increased. So per pass agreement, it made no difference how many memberships were sold. It was kind of stuck at $2.50, with $1.25 going to the Sun Country PGA and $1.25 going to the Sun Country Junior Golf Foundation. SCAGA has tried a couple of different incentive programs. They've been somewhat successful, haven't really moved the needle. So through our negotiations with the Sun Country Amateur Association, their board, our board, and officers feel this might be a good opportunity, and we'll have to see how it goes. But through this model, as membership increases, the money will go into the Sun Country, and more money will go into the Sun Country Junior Golf Foundation, where all PGA members can benefit through securing programs such as Youth on Course, Golf in Schools, and also, obviously matching grants and one-time asks. So the way the scale works right now, they're right around 14,000 members, maybe a little less at this point. So the amount per member is $250. And that's, again, $125 to us, $125 to the Sun Country Junior Golf Foundation. As it increases, $1,401 to $14,500, it moves up to $3. Again, $1.25, but then $1.75 to the foundation. $14,501 to $15,000 moves up to $350. $125 and then $225 to the foundation. $15,000 above, that's where we get to the $4 cap. We capped it at $4 because really, as I analyzed and kind of drilled down the numbers, once it got above $4, it didn't really, it really kind of hurt the Sun Country Amateur Golf Foundation. The Sun Country Amateur Golf Association. So we want to be partners in this. We want to work together. So we established this $4 kind of max cap, and that would get us to, again, $125 for Sun Country PGA, and $2.75 would go into the Junior Golf Foundation. So that's where we're at. I think it's a good step forward. I'm happy with the way it all played out as far as the revenue share program. It was, I think Dana can mention if you'd like, but it was seemed it was well received and everybody was on the same page as far as the Sun Country Amateur Association. And this is the revenue plan that we have till 2022. And obviously we could reevaluate that and see if any tweaks, additions, or, you know, new possible benefits need to be put into place. So throughout this meeting, we'll be talking about finance. Good news as far as our section, we already operate pretty nimble. Obviously, as a smaller section, and the moves and the things that we've done. Again, Dana's done a tremendous job in managing our budget, not being, you know, just being frugal. To be honest, we don't rely on sponsorship dollars to pay payroll. Our junior golf revenue will more than likely be affected by this. We'll have to see how that plays out. But we don't make a whole lot of money there. We do make some money. We'll have to look and see how that is affected as we move forward, but we're in a good place financially. They moved up APD funding. That's the monies that we get from the PGA of America. The first payment, we got that earlier to help help our section and all sections kind of move forward as some of the revenue streams, you know, have halted. Specifically for us, junior golf registration revenue. But we're in a good place, paying off the building, the reserves we have. I think Matt had to go into a meeting, but we'll have another, you know, just kind of a little update as far as specifically where we're at. Education, some things that are available to our membership through the PGA of America. I guess it's a certified program, or Bruce, I'm sure we'll talk more to it. Opening up that portal free of charge to all of our members and all members across the country is a good opportunity. And through our, you know, our education opportunities, we've discussed some webinars and some other things that we could continue to deliver to our members. Tournaments, we'll have an update there. Obviously, we've had to postpone some events, but we'll have some updates there, and then obviously on the junior tour. So I think that's about enough for me right now. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our new district director, and that's Derek Gutierrez. So we know he's going to do a great job representing Sun Country PGA, North Texas, and South Texas. So we'll give this opportunity for Derek to talk a little bit. So take it away, Derek.
Thank you, Mr. President. Looking at that picture on the presentation, and boy, I could use a haircut right about now, and I'm 10 pounds heavier than I was in that photo. So I need to get through this thing. It's a stressful time. But thank you, Mr. President. I want to take a moment and thank the Sun Country Section Board for their support and their confidence in me and being the next District 12 director. I'm excited to represent the two sections in Texas, of course, and of course here on our home territory, the Sun Country section. For those of you who weren't able to see my presentation, that we did via video because unfortunately couldn't meet in person. You know, I want to reiterate to everyone in our section that I have the full support of the owners here, the board of directors at Santa Ana Golf Club. I met with each of our managers here, and they're aware of the commitment that's ahead and have supported me in my absence during other travel in the past. And then most importantly, my wife Carolyn and my family are all on board for this. So just excited, looking ahead to onboard next year in 21, and then represent you all to the best of my ability for 3 years after that. So next slide. So while it was an honor to serve our section and all the chairs, secretary, vice president, president, honorary president, it went so fast, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it, learned so much. Being appointed diversity and inclusion chairman by Derek Sprague way back when, another highlight, just that went really fast, but was able to just influence some change, I believe, with PGA Lead. Everybody's aware of that program that we worked alongside an amazing committee that had people like Lynn Swan and Renee Powell on it. And then working with Sandy Cross, who is now the Chief People Officer, learned a ton, but we were able to launch PGA Lead, which again, next slide, was designed to identify, groom, and mentor potential leaders from diverse backgrounds throughout our association, and kind of affect change where they can go back to their sections, hopefully, and become active. And as of today, there's 3 section vice presidents that are serving in their sections that came out of the LEAD program. 3 are serving as at-large directors in their sections. I believe we had 2 of them up until last week. Oh no, still on our board. And then 15 currently are serving as national committee members. So proud of what this has done. I had a small hand in it. The committee that I worked alongside had a larger hand in it, and then of course the association staff really got this thing going, and just I hope it continues. You know that part of my goal running for the national board was to bring more diversity to the table, in the likes of Tony Martinez, Renee Powell. Many of our independent directors, past and current, are of diverse backgrounds, and so, you know, I believe the PGA's commitment to doing so is not just lip service anymore. I think it's there's going to be a real effort. And there's some information that I've sent out that you can't see, but just really quick, of 26,600 members and associates in our association, 481, this is men and women, 480.
Oh, do we lose Derek?
For women. So
Oh.
yeah, I'm still there. You got me?
Nope. Yeah, you cut out for a second. Go
You
ahead.
bleeped out for a minute. I don't know if you want to, maybe your last 30 seconds repeat might be good. We're all navigating this new format.
Uh-oh, he might have bugged out again.
Well, Dana, I think we could probably move along and then possibly move back to Derek. Obviously, Derek is very qualified for this position. I know through my conversations with Derek, as you know, as we were looking at, you know, possibilities throughout our section to run for this, I know that he's committed. I know that his heart is in the right place to take on this position. It's a very big commitment. Over the years, we've done a good job, a great job, I believe, in strengthening our bond within our district with North and South Texas. I know that Derek has some great ideas that will continue to strengthen the bond. I know that he will obviously represent us, the Sun Country PGA, through the various initiatives and programming and things that go on around that boardroom table as a smaller section, but also balancing, you know, our neighbors and our district, North and South Texas. You know, the move to Frisco as a district, obviously the involvement there is a tremendous opportunity for our section and for the PGA of America. I know that Derek is committed to communicate.
Can you hear me?
Well, we can hear you now. I was kind of talking on your behalf a little bit, but we could hear you if you'd like to start back up again.
Yeah, again, it's Fisher Price internet and modem is killing me, so I apologize. So I'll just jump in really quick. I think I left off really with the lack of diversity in our association. Is there's 26,000 members and associates in the association. And when you break it down, women and men, there's 481 Hispanics, 156 African Americans, 87 American Indians, and of that total, only 1,262 are women. So you can see the change and tough work that's ahead, and I really, really want to be able to impact that and lead a small step in the right direction. And so that's the voice I want to be at the table. Next slide. So anytime you know this undertaking, the relationship with the two sections, our other sections outside of ours is critical. I believe it's at an all-time high. I commend many of our past presidents and Jason White, current president, for making sure those relationships continue to grow and stay strong. And I commit to be involved in every single one of those engagements and obligations that I'm required to be at. And so I really look forward to doing so, you know, in person, via conference call and beyond. So you have my commitment obligation to do that. Next slide. I want to create another opportunity to network and with District 12. You know, they have the option and the opportunity to do so throughout the year, just because of geography. Unfortunately, it makes it tough for us, but I want to create a retreat that would take place, you know, every other year opposite of the national election years and the super regionals, and get together and talk about section governance, national governance, section best practices, what's working within each section that's to our advantage, what's not working. And at the tail end of that, I'd like to create a competitive yet fun kind of golf event that continue to build relationships, camaraderie, and maybe some bragging rights. Maybe Sun Country section can show them that we've got some good players. I'd have to really work on my game for that. So next slide. So equally important, if not more, is communication. I think frequent, transparent communication is crucial to effective representation. So, you know, as a district director, I think it's going to be important that I take feedback, ideas, input, opinions from the sections to the table at the national board in a timely manner, and be transparent and upfront, making sure I'm communicating those things as fast as I can on behalf of our three sections. Conversely, things that are relayed to us or that are decided on at the national table need to come back down to our sections in a timely manner. I'm accessible to, we have a team of 110 here at Santa Ana Golf Club Inc., and I remain accessible to every single employee on a daily basis. And I want to do that for every single member in our section in the northern Texas as well as southern Texas section. I want to be able to take phone calls, emails. I just want to be open and accessible to everyone throughout my term. I want to create a file sharing system that may exist already, may not, that allows for frequent prompt updates to all stakeholders in the three sections with information that's pertinent or relevant to our District 12. Next slide. So I won't go into too much detail here, but you know, everyone in Sun Country knows Jack Hardwick, and he was the reason I got into the game following his untimely death in 1994 in the car accident we were both in. It was one of those moments of truth, those critical moments where you decide, this is what I want to do and this is why. And to emulate everything that Jack was, I had to be a PGA member to do it the right way, and I'm so grateful that I did. He was a teacher, a friend, a leader, coach, great husband, great father, all of those things. And so, you know, I owe a lot to him for steering me in this direction. And then to run for office at the section level was really Alan Ranowski, who I'd run into at the 2008 PGA Professional National Championship at Reynolds Plantation. Roger Martinez was there with us, and I had 5 minutes alone with him and just asked for, hey, what would you recommend for someone like me? I'm just wanting to get more involved. He said, run for secretary. It will be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And he was absolutely correct. But more importantly and more impactful was the time he spent with me wherever I saw him from then on. It was always about 5 minutes of face-to-face, how are you, and a back and forth about our operations and things in our lives. And it meant the world to me. And so the slides is mentoring and its impact on my career. I want to be a mentor. You know, I feel like I've mentored a lot of people here in our section, but I want to start mentoring outside of our section. And when I'm out in the trenches, for a lack of a better term, be able to visit with people one-on-one and offer advice or just hear about what's going on in their operations in their lives. Because it's impactful and it's important. And not to go on too long, but I always want to thank the people that influenced me here in the section. It's Grant Dalps, Pat Gavin, Roger Martinez, Dave Brown, Guy Wimberly, John Sperry, and Bill Eschenbrenner. I've spent some time with him too, and he's always been able to pass along some good advice. So I want to make sure that as I do that, I'm a mentor to others. Next slide. So you all know the new HQ, PGA's headquarters are moving to Texas, and Northern Texas, Frisco, Texas. And I'm hoping that just being in District 12, that will help elevate the profile of our section. I believe just geography alone will do that. I want to be a voice at the table going forward with the long-term and strategic plan for the PGA of America, and not just not sit there and do nothing. I want to be interactive and make sure I'm asking questions and giving great advice as best I can. And kudos to Northern Texas, Mark Harris and Tony Martinez and all of the people involved in making that happen. What a great deal. And I look forward to that being right next door to us here in New Mexico. So lastly, why Derek? Why now was my question when I was running for this position. And I think my experience speaks volumes. I spent about 10 years in the association and section governance, be it section leader and then chairing that national committee. And then, of course, the relationships that I've developed throughout the country with officers, board, and staff. I believe I have access and ability to contact some of our leaders to this day and get quick responses. And then I want to make sure that this continues to be a member-driven association, which I fully believe it is. And so thank you again. Sorry for getting disconnected, but thanks for letting me finish my presentation. I look forward to serving on your behalf very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. We know you're going to do a great job. So congratulations once again.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it.
Jason, are you able to see the screen at this point?
I am. Committee updates. So let's
Real
just move through them.
Okay, and real quick, just a friendly reminder for everybody who's on microphone to make sure you mute yourselves when you're not speaking, if you could, please. Thanks. Is Mr. Long available, or is he in his meeting?
I believe he's in his meeting. Go ahead and throw up the points, and I'll just kind of talk to it real quick. Again, like I said a little bit before, we're in a pretty good position. Obviously, our cash balance, a little over $300,000 as April 1st, 2020. That's a little bit due to APD funding moving up. We paid off our building last year. We have our investment count that's kind of holding steady, I guess you could say. So we're diversified in that sense. I know our independent director Eric Walton with Spence Asset Management brought up a good point, and we'll be working towards just a little bit more of an investment policy. We have some things in place, but again, just to protect our section, protect our board, when decisions are being made, how much money we want to move into an investment account. I think our financial advisor, has told us it's a good time to invest. I get that, but we also have to be careful as well. So we're working towards, I would say, an increased and kind of lock that up a little bit more as far as an investment policy. As far as the coronavirus, I think I've already mentioned that we're stable as a section. If this continues to prolong further and further, we might have some financial issues, but again, we have a good reserve fund. That was important. I remember back to moving through secretary and vice president, kind of having a cash reserve policy and how much we wanted to have in that, just in case something like this happened, right? And so we're in a good position financially. And again, just thank you to Dana and Matt and everybody before that has worked tirelessly on securing our financial position. It wasn't so great, you know. I'm not sure how long ago at this point, probably close to 10 years now, plus or minus, but we've inched ourselves back into a good position, and we'll continue to act responsibility in our fiduciary obligation to our association, the Sun Country PGA, and obviously our members. So again, if you have any questions as far as our financials, be sure to include that in the chat, and we'll get to that in open forum. Dana, would you like to add anything to financial?
No, just one comment in the comment in the chat was, did he say we paid off our building? And yes, the building is paid off. Jason mentioned it during his report, and it was paid off almost a year ago now. It was a year ago this May, so good win for the section. Mr. Yost?
Yes, sir. With regards to the awards and membership report, real quick, we're in the process of moving the awards platform to the same platform that National uses online. So we are sort of delving into that, making sure that everything's going to run smoothly, and putting our sort of our timetable together this year for the summer to make sure that the awards happen without a hitch in the fall. As you can see, my awards committee for this year, Grant Daups and Henry Statina, will be serving their second year and giving us a sort of a South regional flair there. And then coming on new, past winners last year, Mr. Paul Kruger and Steve Manning have agreed to join the awards committee. And that's also with the addition of Doug Haley, who is our independent director and non-PGA member. So I think we have a really good crew that are going to be making the decisions on who is going to win our section awards. I just want to make the plea to the membership that once nominations come, please do not hesitate to nominate people. It's, you know, a lot of great professionals doing a lot of great work that, because of our regional distance, we don't know about. So you do, and we need you guys to be the ones that that nominate your fellow PGA professionals. And without those nominations, we can't have a good awards process. So please, I encourage you, plead with you to make those nominations when they come out. The membership report, just to break down the classifications, you know, our total members has remained pretty consistent throughout. So nothing really to report there. If you have any questions on those numbers, you can chat me up, or we can talk about it in open forum. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Josh Salmon here. Good to see so many attendees today. I know tough times, but glad to see so many on and listening and participating this morning. A couple of quick updates on the education side of things. Our mentors program's still going. I'm reaching out. I know we're all doing mentoring every day at our own facilities, at our in our daily lives, but we're always looking, and we need mentors to add to our list so that we can continue to help mentor new members, new associates in ways that maybe they might feel comfortable talking to someone outside their facility, or just another person, another shoulder to lean on. So that's still going. Really, the big focus for us right now is our teaching and coaching summit. As you know, we moved it from the spring time, which would have been just about a month ago, to the fall. So it's going to be November 8th and 9th. You should have seen it in the newsletter that went out to not this this past newsletter, but the newsletter before announcing the dates. We're still working on our presenters, but I can promise you they're going to be really good presenters, and we're going to have a great time. It's going to be up in Albuquerque at Sandia, where we were planning to have it anyway already. Matt and the team there at Sandia have allowed us to do it there again. So November 8th and 9th, it's Sunday, Monday, Sandia Golf Club, mark your calendars. And as we get the presenters fully locked in, we will send out that communication to get some more stuff going. As far as MSR cycle, I think we've all got, the emails from National about the cycle being pushed back a little bit. And so, we're still going to do our part as an education committee and as a section to provide the education opportunities for you. But we did want to make sure that we also encourage you to not only rely on what we do here as a section, but also to seek out some other opportunities. On PGA.org, you can look at the previous year's PGA show education that was offered in the Member Business Center and watch the videos there. That's an opportunity for you. Southern California section does a neat Catalyst webinar series that they make available to all PGA members. You don't have to be in their section. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can reach out to me via email or phone call, whatever you need, and I can get you in touch with the right people to do that. But there's so many opportunities to secure MSR points outside of what we do here. So we just encourage you to look at those, and we'll be putting together something to send out to the membership as a whole to make sure you have access to those things and are aware of those things as well. On our board call, we discussed also, Dana has a couple of good ideas that we'll be putting out a couple webinars for the membership. So, again, we're trying to do everything that we can to make sure that you're getting, not you, but all of us are getting everything we need to stay up to date with educational points, but also that's relevant to what we're doing, not just to throw it out there to get points. So we're working on that. I'm working with Ben at the section office. We'll talk more this week, but Operation 36 has reached out to kind of talk to, it's not going to be a kind of an MSR deal, but it's just a little 15-20 minute webinar that with the open forum at the end for questions that we're going to try to put together for the membership. Just some things that you can do to work to kind of golf at home. How can you as a PGA professional continue your growth? I know Tom Yost has done some really cool things with Operation 36, and he speaks very highly of them. So if you have any questions about Operation 36 and what it really is and what it does prior to this, or even after this, Tom would probably be a good resource to reach out to. So that'll be coming out here as well. But overall, I think we're doing a pretty good job. Obviously, we can always do better, and that's the goal moving forward, is to do better. And hopefully we can put out some stuff that our membership is proud of. And I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to be the chair of this committee.
Thank you, Josh. Nick?
All right. Yeah. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone's doing well. I'll just kind of piggyback on kind of all of our committee reports and what the board has said. I certainly hope that everyone's safe at home and everyone's healthy. Families are healthy. Your staff and their families are healthy as well. So as we kind of get through this as an industry, it's kind of crazy to talk about championships right now, as I'm sure this is low on the priority list for a lot of people. But I just want to update everybody on kind of what we've talked about through our last committee call, and then kind of what our kind of as we move forward, what it looks like in terms of championships and events. Big thank you to Jerome, Jordan, Daniel Nunez, Mike Singleton, on your guys' help. That was our committee previously. So thank you guys for your service and your help on the tournament committee. One of the big discussions that we had was the alcohol policy for national qualifiers. And if we were to put that policy in place, this is really just more of a proactive approach to it to make sure that it doesn't become a problem, make sure we get ahead of it. There was no policy put in place. It simply is going to just be discussions and some education to the membership on what's expected, especially in the national qualifiers. I think we're very unique in this section in that half the field or a portion of the field is there for camaraderie, signs up to national so we can get the max amount of spots to those national events to represent our section. And then we have a very competitive side of it. So it's a very fine line that we must walk along and make sure that we don't affect either side of that spectrum, so to speak. So that was talked about. We just ask guys that when we are planning these events that we're aware of it and we don't abuse it. We're there to have fun. Again, one of the best things about this section is our ability to be around each other, the camaraderie and sticking around that, after events to congratulate our winners and especially those folks that represent us nationally. So again, no policies in place, but if it were to become a problem, there will be a policy that will be put in place. But we don't foresee that happening, hopefully. In terms of pro-ams, kind of, again, similar deal that, with everything that you just conduct yourself professionally and represent yourself, your facility, and don't abuse our ability to visit other facilities. Also, for pro-ams, as we move through the pandemic and kind of tread lightly, I'll say, we just ask that if you were to host one during this, it will be run as a non-sanctioned event. You will kind of be conducting it on your own, and then professionals would be at their own with amateurs there. So again, that would be a non-sanctioned pro-am. The USSPT tour that is ran by Daniel, he has agreed, just so everyone's aware, that he will not conflict with any of our section dates for events, and be very aware of the scheduling. So those will be coming down the road. A huge thank you to Mike and Yamaha. They did offer some added sponsorship money to the match play. And so we will have a regular match play and a senior match play. Essentially how that's going to happen and how it's going to work. If it were to happen coming up next month, we would fill the regular match play with as many regular professionals, and then any additional spots that aren't filled would go to the seniors that would be sort of quote unquote on a wait list. So we will try to fill that up, and then the senior match play will be down south later in the year where they will have their own, and then percentage of splitting of pots will be mirrored to how many seniors are a part of the regular championship. So that'll be kind of, as we get to it, hopefully, we'll be able to report exactly how those sponsorship dollars are being split up. We have added a few additional sponsorships out at Sandia Pro. We did get an additional sponsorship. So Ben, Dana, and them have been doing a tremendous job in those relationships with everyone. So certainly hope that, can everyone hear my audio? Are we good?
I can hear you. I know that Don Urini just chatted that he's not able to hear us. So I'm not sure if that's just specifically, on his connection or his end. So maybe as far as the other members that are on here, just if you can't hear us or if you can hear us, chat in. We want to make sure that everybody's getting this information.
Awesome. Glad. Sorry, Don, if you can't or what have you, but at least some of you can. Again, just some added sponsorships. Dana and Ben and them have been doing a tremendous job in fostering those relationships with some major sponsors. So huge thank you to them. That's a big part of obviously our payouts and our ability to run successful events. So they're doing a great job with that. And then the New Mexico Open, as we move through 2020 to 2022 at Sandia as the host site, we will continue to assess the success and make sure that it benefits our foundation. In the previous business planning meeting, it was brought to our, it's not really a huge success, so we're going to maybe find some avenues that it can benefit the foundation. And then lastly, just to kind of finish up on everything, as we kind of progress through the pandemic methodically, Ben and I are going to get together and make sure that we can host as many of our normal events as possible. What potentially could happen is the combining of events and making sure that we can still host those and provide that service to you all as a membership. But we would make sure that they align with the intent of the event and we don't kind of mix up and cross over too many of those events by combining them. So that may come down the road. Ben and I are going to kind of, as we maybe see once we're have more light at the end of the tunnel, of being able to kind of have those in place and ready to go. But that may be coming down the road again. So again, I hope everyone's safe. I hope everyone's healthy. I know I'm probably just like the rest of you. I can't wait to get back out to the golf course, get back out to our facilities. And I'm certainly excited to hopefully get back to playing some of these events and seeing you guys out at the golf course. So thank you guys for your time. Thank you guys for allowing me to serve you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, give me a call on my cell, or email me, whatever way, tweet me, Instagram me, whatever you need to do. So I'm here to help and serve in any way I can. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Nick.
Mr. Bain or Ms. Howe?
Hi, it's Vern here. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right. Growth of the game is on a big pause at the moment, with all of our championships and junior programs on hold for right now. Good question is how we're going to get back up and running again and doing it safely. We'll be working with all of the junior league groups, the section office, and Vitali with the PGA Junior League to find out when we can kind of get rolling again. It's going to be, I guess, new ground that we'll be covering, trying to figure out how to do this safely and do it correctly. We're also keeping in mind what our public image is going to be going forward. Are we going to hit the gas pedal and jump right out there? Or are we going to slowly tread into it and do it cautiously? Because public opinion will be honest and it will be brutal if we do it the wrong way. So just want to make sure everybody knows that as we progress, it'll be every move that we make will be thought of, and we'll look to the rest of the board for guidance through this process as we start to kind of restart golf. We know people want to play. We know people want to get out there. During this meeting, we took 5 phone calls asking if we were open today. And it's been, the last 2 weeks has been hard knowing that we go to work each day and we spend the day just kicking people off the property. So it's been uncharted. So I don't know, Belinda, if you had anything to say. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I wanted to give another shout out to Tom. Great videos, continuing to try to engage the kids at home. Also, Southeastern New Mexico, First Tee. There's no national directive, but they on their own have been creating weekly games for kids, crossword puzzles, find a word, and of course a core value with that. And Henry Statina, I keep seeing all of his videos and his teaching content, and I think I encourage all of us to continue to try to engage with our clientele, encourage them to stay at home, but give them ideas of how they can focus on their golf game while staying at home and being safe. And I just wanted to kind of say again, just like Vern said, the perception of us as a section, an industry, is critical. This is a global crisis, and how we all act as we go back into business, creating a safe environment for our employees, our guests, with the thought that the growth of the game is critically dependent on how we as professionals react to the situation. I don't know about you all, but supplies are very scarce. I ordered supplies the weekend before we closed, and they've yet to arrive. So as we enter back into opening, looking at the perception of us as professionals in the industry, and if we really are making the right moves to bring golf back to the public. And lastly, if there are any courses in New Mexico that are open right now, I wish you wouldn't be, because that is affecting our perception as well.
Okay, Jason, so I got a text from Brad Lardon. He's kind of in and out of meetings, so I was just going to say a couple of words on his behalf on this slide. So first, before I do that, I don't know if hopefully most of you have seen that he started a fundraiser where he's helping out his fellow PGA professionals, and has now raised over a couple of grand in that. So if you're interested in helping him with that, check out his Facebook page. There's a lot of good information there, and kudos to Brad. It's a pretty honorable thing. Now that he's got a little bit more time on his hands with the facility being closed, he's putting it to really good use. So great work, Brad. So, Jason mentioned communications earlier. Hopefully you feel like you've been in the loop, at least in your communication from the section and from the PGA of America. I can tell you when all the craziness started a couple of weeks ago, we were probably hitting you over the head pretty hard, at least on a daily basis with info, and we didn't want to overwhelm you by any means, but at the same time, wanted to make sure that you had access to all the information. You can tell in the last week or so, we've kind of dialed it back to every couple of days, 2 or 3 days, based on, waiting for legitimate sort of new information. At this point, there's no specific plan. There's, I think, just kind of a as needed basis that will relay to you information. If for some reason any of you have information that you think the membership could use, you are more than welcome or even encouraged to pass that along to us, and we'll be sure to get it out. But hopefully you all feel like you're in the loop. That'll be kind of our new normal for the immediate future anyways. So once we get back to business as usual, there's, hopefully you feel like the communication from this section is pretty good. We continue to get rave reviews on the website and our newsletter, and we're fairly active on social media. So again, hopefully you feel like you're in the loop, but can always use some constructive criticism. So feel free to provide that whenever you feel it's needed. We're also exploring possibly doing a monthly video. It would be kind of a rotating cast of characters from your president and other people on the board, or anybody else that we thought, had a good message to send out, like a 5-minute video or so, like once a month. So be on the lookout for that once we get that figured out. So with that being said, I'll turn it back over to Jason, and he can, I think he mentioned it earlier, but maybe one more pass through, Jason, on our election results.
Yeah, again, like I said at the beginning, congratulations to, Vern, Zach, and Nick being reelected, and Evan. We welcome you to the board. We'll be reaching out soon. It's been, obviously a lot going on, and I apologize for not getting to you sooner, but you'll be hearing from me soon, and we'll figure out how your skills can be best served, for our membership. So again, congratulations, and all those on the call as well. I again encourage you. You heard Derek speak of it. The best way to get involved, the best way to push the needle, the best way to have your voice heard is to get involved. Run for the board, reach out to be on a committee. Anything and everything is open. Even if you're not on the board or you're not on a committee, and you have a great idea, shoot it our way. Like Dana said, if there's information that you have right now that you feel is important for our membership, let us know so we could pass that information along. So again, I just urge everybody to get involved to whatever abilities or whatever time you have, no matter how much or how little. Again, there's a place for your voice in our section, and we want you to be heard. So again, congratulations to our newly re-elected board members, Vern Bain, Zach Hopeful, and Nick Nee, and to Evan, we welcome you to our board. So moving towards our national election, again, kind of as Nick alluded to with tournaments, you know, this might not be on the forefront, but again, it is still something that is going on and something that we obviously need to prepare and plan for, as you know, who becomes our next you know, Secretary of the PGA of America and progresses through. We're not only electing our next secretary, but in my eyes, we're always electing our next president. So with that said, we have 4 candidates. Dana, do you want to kind of throw them up there? Tom Henderson, he's out of the Met section, director of Golf Roundhill Club, wealth of experience, board of director, board of control, past National Golf Professional of the Year, definitely as far as a resume and on paper goes, very qualified. Our next candidate for secretary, Don Ray, kind of on the west side of the United States, which is always good to see. He's got obviously good experience as well at the section level, national level, district director, very charismatic. Some would say maybe a maverick. You could take that as good and bad. He's definitely vocal and outspoken, but in my opinion, some good positive ways. Kind of a green grassroots guy, as far as kind of maybe some of the, you know, the PGA members go. So Don Ray is a good candidate. Dave Schneider, again, all these individuals are very well qualified. Nebraska section. So we've had some good conversations with Dave. I think there's some similarities there as far as the Sun Country PGA and Nebraska. He kind of gets the small sections and how we play our role and the programmings and so on and so forth through the PGA of America. Kelly Williams, again, district director, been on the board. Kentucky section, they're unique in our sense too. They operate under a similar model as us with the Golf House, where their amateur body and their PGA body operate you know, under one roof, and a lot of synergies there, and some good comparisons and some synergies with what we have going on. Where we're kind of standing right now, we feel that Tom, again, kind of looked best on paper, just to be kind of honest, kind of seemed least prepared, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, when we went to the Super Regional. As far as the presentation goes, you know, if you're just looking at it from a presentation mode, and then also kind of looking at it from their resume. So, you know, I think he kind of stumbled through it, but definitely performed and had a lot of great comments on kind of the one-on-one meetings that we had after they had the opportunity to speak to the collective group. I think Kelly, again, very positive. I just feel like maybe it's not quite his time. I think his time will come. And again, I think it's important to note that from what I've seen being involved in this process over the last you know, few years, this slate of 4 are all very highly qualified, well-spoken. I think no matter who wins, will be well represented. But I think just maybe, in my opinion, and kind of some of the, conversations we've had as with our officers, and even with North and South Texas, he's kind of right there, maybe third in line, so to speak, if we were ranking them. And then that leaves us with Don and Dave. So I think right now, Don and Dave are, as far as the Sun Country PGA goes, if Tony wants to provide any input as far as North Texas or South Texas, I've had some conversations with their leaders. So as of right now, we think that Don and Dave are doing the best job as far as our section goes, and communicating and reaching out to us. We specifically Don has been reaching out and communicating with us. I know specifically me, I think Tom has made mention that he's reached out to him a few times. So for us, Don is doing the right things as far as communication. His message is pointed. I think he truly is in it for the right reasons. I think it'd be good to have someone, as far as a owner operator, more public daily fee. He has had a lot of experience in other facilities, more high-end facilities as well. He has asked for our second. At this point, we haven't agreed to do that. We're kind of treading lightly per, kind of some of the past election results and candidates that we've backed. We've talked on our last board meeting, and Tony was on there as well. If we do back a candidate, I think it would be strong to back a candidate as a district. So we're continuing to communicate that through our district and through North and South Texas. But at this point, we have not seconded a candidate. Obviously, there's been a lot going on. There's more important things to be working towards, specifically in the Sun Country. So that's kind of where we're at. We kind of have, Don and Dave right there, kind of 1 and 2 could be interchangeable. I would say Kelly's probably third, and right now Tom's maybe in fourth, but that could all shift around as we continue to progress through this. Dave Tom from the Met section. Obviously, there's a long history there. There's a lot of backing there. So it's kind of, it's a political race, and it's, we just have to, keep our finger on the pulse and see how things are going to play out, and, kind of support who we think has the best interest of the PGA of America and our section and our district in mind. So that's where we're at right now as far as the national election goes, and I'll turn it over to Tony to provide a national update. So Tony, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate everyone being here. Most importantly, appreciate the opportunity to represent District 12, and more importantly, the Sun Country section. Is truly an honor and a responsibility that I certainly don't take lightly. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate the Sun Country section's leadership and staff in your communication and what you've been able to do and bring the members of the section just by staying on top and staying engaged of what we're doing, trying to handle this pandemic. Being a smaller section in numbers is not a representation of your leadership nationally and what you guys have been able to provide in value to the members and just understanding what's going on and staying at the forefront. So congratulations to all of you. I know that your advocacy program and your work with that you're doing on the government side and speaking with state and local officials is phenomenal, and not all sections do that. So I certainly appreciate that, and I would hope that all of you are proud of the job that they're doing. I will cover from a national perspective. I will cover a couple things that may be of interest. I apologize if there's any redundancy, but there's a lot to cover and a lot going on. First and foremost, if you have not been to the pga.org website, the resources to PGA members regarding coronavirus is something that's being updated real time, as this is a moving target. But the amount of resources there that are available, best practices, and all those types of things are just fantastic. And I think that when we're talking about value of our membership, me being a small business owner, to have a resource where I can go and some simple lay terms of where to go, how to apply for government grants or help has been really valuable, and just a way to stay connected. So please utilize that resource. I would say probably the first thing is something that's just happened as we've started this meeting. The PGA Championship has been announced during this meeting that has been rescheduled. So the PGA Championship is on schedule now for the week of August 3rd through the 9th and remains at TPC Harding Park. So hopefully, that's some good news, and hopefully the situation with the pandemic, moves in a direction where we'll be able to execute a major championship like the PGA. So very excited about that. Second thing, or the next thing I would say is a nice benefit. There's 90 days of free access to the lifelong learning. So through January 30th, any member, you can access the specialized program, full content of library for free. So if you've enrolled in the program, any of the specialized or certified programs, please, jump back in if you've got time on your hands now, based on facility closures or whatever, that is available to you. I would say, just to kind of touch the same point of the national election of secretary, Jason did a great job of explaining the candidates, and I can say that I've had an opportunity to serve with all of the candidates in the boardroom, and they're fantastic. They're very passionate and qualified. And I think one of the good things this time is we're pretty diverse as far as the facilities. I think our 4 candidates kind of represent a lot of the PGA membership as far as their journey to where they are. And I think it gives us a good view that there's a lot of ways to get there. And just the fact that they're candidates for national office should be inspiring to any golf professional out there that isn't sure if that's something they could ever accomplish or do. I think it gives us a good look that at the end of the day, they're just golf professionals and serving the association and working their way up the ranks. So I know that they're going to be challenged during this time with their campaign, with super regional meetings being canceled. So we'll see how those opportunities develop for them. Next item is the update for the PGA Center for Golf Learning and Performance. That's the Performance Center in Port St. Lucie, attached with PGA Golf Club, has sold. So we have closed on that property, and that property has sold. The buyer has requested to not share any details at this particular point. And I'm sure that some of that information is getting out there, but details will be available as time goes. Note that things are being done for any members that are utilizing that facility to coach, train, engage members or trips. A renovation of the driving range and practice facilities at the golf club are in the works, and starting construction happens based on the sale of the CLP, and that's happened. So to be able to provide world-class opportunities for our PGA members is still a priority, and we look forward to doing that. But it's a good win for us to move past that property. Governance update. During the annual meeting, the board and the delegates, we one resolution that passed, which I think is very is a big deal for our association. Removal of the citizen and residency work status clause that's been removed from the bylaws. And so if you know of if you have any relationships of people that are non-citizens and work in the golf industry that are somewhere else in the world, and they've got interested in becoming PGA, and they're interested in becoming PGA members, well, they can become PGA members now. And I think that that's a great move for us. So many of those professionals that are working in the industry abroad are played college golf in the United States, and they've been introduced to the PGA of America that way and participated or played. And I just think it's a great way to diversify and put our fingerprint out there in the world. As we've got a global game, and I think that it will serve us well and give us an opportunity to branch out. The PGA 3.0 is in full swing of our learning strategy, lifelong learning strategy. We have, I believe we're in our third or fourth class of virtual level 1. As we speak, my older son is doing his first day of level 1 from his office. So I am very excited about that. It's a good timing for him to engage in that. So if you know of any associates that need to engage in that, it's $750. So a fraction of the original price without the travel. So that is available level 1, and it's been well received with really record numbers of attendance, and you can see why, and was an obvious need for it. PGA Frisco, I spoke with Jimmy Terry late last week, and pretty much all systems go with the PGA Frisco project and the golf courses, and the city of Frisco and that county is not on any restriction for them to continue the construction. Weather being the biggest problem there. So I do know that the hotel and the resort has asked in our agreement to push their timeline back a little bit, because they have been greatly affected by the pandemic. So of course, we're going to work together and stay in stride with them. But PGA Frisco is still on schedule for the most part, and making progress. Really, that's I think some things that I picked out of what's happening at the national level. It's been a different time for us. I'm not. I've never been on so many video conferences and conference calls in my life. So you can imagine that as we meet as a board, as different directors, as classes on the board, and then all of the executives and chiefs, it has just been information overload. And that's why it's been very helpful with Dana's leadership and his ability to push down the information to you guys. So we're trying to figure it out as we go. I would also like to thank Anthony and Bruce for being on the call and what they do to represent our brand and help you guys in the field. I know that it's certainly a trying time for everybody, but their work is so valuable. Congratulations to the at-large directors, Zach and Vern, Nick and Evan. Thank you so much for your service and what you do and what you bring. And Derek, for sure. Derek, congratulations on being district director, incoming. I look forward to our time together, and you were certainly prepared, and I appreciate you reaching out and it's something that we've talked about quite a bit, and I look forward to spending time with you. I look forward mostly to you carrying my luggage. That's the responsibility for the first year of the incoming director. No, seriously, it's going to be a great time, and nobody represents our brand and our association like you do. And we, at a time where we're always talking about being engaged and trying to get people engaged, Derek, you are well beyond engaged. You are what I would consider all in, and that says a lot. And it says a lot for the people that you represent, and we're just excited for that. And then lastly, I would just kind of on the vein, I was thinking about when I was preparing to hope to be considered to be district director, when I called past directors and I talked to people around the country and I called, executive directors, one theme that kept coming up was that it's a great opportunity and it's a good responsibility. It's a responsibility that you wouldn't take lightly, but people always continue to talk about the relationships, the people, and the experiences. And so I had that in mind, but it is well beyond that. And an example of that is just the relationships I've built in Sun Country. I've known a lot of people in the Sun Country section, but to get to know them more intimately and build some relationships has been valuable, and it's enhanced me as a professional, and it's enhanced my business and my perspective. So during these crazy times, what does the PGA do for me, or what do I get out of my membership? It's obvious that our most obvious resource is during this time is us. The PGA and our brand and our association is about us. And it's about the membership and the people and us being in front and communicating and taking care of one another. What does the PGA do for me? What does Brad Lardon do for me and the PGA? And that's what we are. And when times are good, I think it's easy to question every little step that a major organization makes. But when times are tough, that really shows what the value is, and the value is in one another. So I encourage you to lean on me, lean on those around you, whether they be PGA staff or just your neighbor at a neighboring golf course. We need each other more than ever, and I'm so blessed to be part of this association and to be able to represent you. So thank you, Jason, the other officers and board members, for this opportunity, and any member that wants to reach out and has questions about anything more specifically, please do at any time. Thank you.
Mr. Lubach?
Mr. Leonard, can you hear me all right?
I can. Fire away.
All right. Thank you. Well, obviously, these are trying times for everybody, and the area of employment with your section, especially with being shut down. You know, here in Arizona, largely we're open, and I know there's lots of controversial ideas about that, but right now, that's what's going on all over the country. We've got pockets of the country where golf is being played, and of course, pockets where it is totally shut down. And I'm not going to get into any of the ideology behind that right now, but we're here to keep trying to serve the member and the employers to the best of our ability. And obviously, these are trying times. You know, your section does such a nice job in regards to communication, and my hat is off to Jason White and of course Dana for everything you're doing to keep your members informed. Although you are very small in size, what you do for communication and your programming does not take a back seat to anybody. So my hat is off to the Sun Country and what you do in regards to your programming and what you do for your members. It's just outstanding. You know, congrats to Derek. I've had numerous conversations with Derek over the years that I've known him, and what a committed PGA professional he is. And I know he'll do a great job representing you. You can hear the passion in his voice, and he does a marvelous job and will serve you well. I always enjoy listening to Tony. You know, he just bleeds blue and gold and does such a nice job representing your district. And what a great, the attributes he possesses are just so positive, and he does such a nice job serving. So from my standpoint, I put this slide presentation together prior to today. So it was going to be something that we were going to show when the meeting was going to be scheduled in Cruces, you know, a few weeks ago. And so, you know, things have changed. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I know all of you can read, but we've made a change in regards to how we position, you know, jobs. You know, we've gone away from having our career links jobs. We're still utilizing that source, but all of the jobs that we're posting now are on the job board. And so we want to make sure, and if anything happens today from my standpoint, it's to get you to fill out your job seeker profile. And so there's 5 questions. It's all you have to answer now regarding your preferences. And down the road, this isn't still fully implemented, but there will be right now, all the jobs are being posted, and they will continue to maintain that presence on the job board. But whether or not you're going to be qualified for every job will start to become something that we're looking at from a standpoint of volume. And so right now, not that many people are applying necessarily, but down the road, that will be something we'll be looking at as far as what kind of match you are. And so right now you can see any job on the job board. And again, that's where we're having you go when you're posting your positions on that as well. And that hasn't changed, but now all the management jobs are on there. So in the past, we had career links profiles were more employer focused. We now feel the profile is more of a member focused situation. Go ahead. So again, the dashboard, this is where it happens from a standpoint in how jobs are now listed. So just make sure you're paying attention to you know, what's going on in your dashboard. So you should have, this is one of your favorites from a standpoint of just logging in. And so make sure that you complete your job preferences so you can receive your job notifications. Okay. So this is basically just a thumbnail sketch in regards to what each step is involved, you know. So where are you in your search? Now, if you don't want to get these, you can just hit that tab button and not actively looking, passively looking, or actively looking are the choices that you can have where you are in your search. And so if you're actively looking, that's the tab that you'll choose. I would urge you to do that, even though some people may feel they're inundated. It still will keep you abreast of what's going on in our industry regarding to jobs. But if you're perfectly content, there's not a problem with just putting not actively or passively looking. Okay, next step. And then it gives you these choices. Again, all you have to do is check which choices you're going to be interested in from a standpoint. Now, if you're an apprentice and or an associate, and then you haven't completed your PGA membership yet, to be considered for director of golf positions may be a stretch, but nonetheless, you still have that ability. But again, you have to be practical from a standpoint of how you're going to match up from an employer's standpoint as well. So these are the different jobs that you will be listing for your preferences. Okay, step 3. And then just what is your minimum salary requirement? If there's no minimum, you can check that. And then it gives you a litany of different numbers, different categories to choose from regarding what your compensation or salary requirement is. And then where would you like to work? Again, very similar to what we've been doing, but you can rank these sections in where you want to work. It's actually by state right now. Okay, go ahead. And then open to seasonal positions. If you have other preferences, this is the 5th step from that. So, all right, that's pretty much where that is at. So all these will be listed on your dashboard in regards to matching jobs. So this should appear, and hopefully some of you are already getting these kinds of notifications for you on your dashboard. Okay. Now, all of these are the open positions. Again, if you click on jobs, when you go onto your PGA job board, all of these jobs are listed, on the job board. Now, you can look by section by scrolling down the left side of that, and you can see all of the different sections that are in our industry from a standpoint of where these jobs are. If you want to be more specific from where jobs are listed, all you have to do is click on the section, and then you'll be able to see the jobs that are posted in that section. Okay. Again, this is just a quick glimpse in regards to what a job looks like when posting a position on the PGA job board. It's a pretty easy, seamless way of doing it. It's much easier in my eyes from what it used to be. The only difference, if you need my assistance, please reach out to me for management positions. For non-management positions, we can still allow you without any problem to post those positions on the job board. But if you want my assistance, if you are a director of golf or a general manager and you want my assistance, I'm here to help. But you now have the ability to post that job, but I'll more than likely be reaching out to you if I do see that, from a standpoint of offering my help, okay? So again, the compensation component is always what people primarily look at. And so these are the areas that we think we can help you again, but right now the PGA compensation survey is, has undergone some revision. We haven't asked for your participation to the extent that we probably used to in completing that, but this will be forthcoming as well. So in the area of compensation, we always like to see what the salary and expected total compensation is. We just think it's fair for you as a PGA member to be able to see that, from a standpoint of moving forward, okay? And again, the value of positions, what I always, when I work with an employer, I do comparable salary situations from the type of job title that it is and the location that it is. And that's one thing that you've always been able to do, using that tool on the job board. You've always been able to do the drop-down menu, and still look at all the different categories that are in that arena. And so whether it's just the benefits, whether it's the salary, bonus structure, total compensation, that drop-down, you can tailor your report based on how you want to view it. And then you can look at the sections that you want to compare it to by holding the control button on the tab, and then go from there on your keyboard. Just hold the control button and you can click as many as you want by just scrolling through this compensation survey. Okay. You know, Tony briefly talked about what an opportunity, if you feel this is something you want the ability to do. There's this 90-day window that you can now access all of the different situations regarding your education. So specialized professional, and then to certified, and then the master professional. So of course you'll start with a specialized professional in regards to your educational pursuit. Okay. So these are just, again, some bullets that we think, you know, never stop learning. You know, it does help your marketability, you know, improves your self-image, especially now. I mean, if we're feeling like this pandemic has stalled us to such a point that we're struggling, this would probably be a good avenue for you to pursue if you feel you have the time. Again, I'm not here to push you into that. It's just an opportunity that you feel and the PGA feels, if it's worth your time and effort, they're providing it to you at no charge. And, you know, it saves you $300, $350 to do that. So if you're motivated and feel you have the time and energy to do something like this, this is a great time to start that process. Okay. That's all I have for you today. And again, I'll be making some phone calls. I'll be talking to Dana probably tomorrow, and we'll be coming up with a plan so I can reach out to talk to you all individually. Also feel free to call me. But we're trying to do our part from the standpoint of helping you get through this the best you can. And these were just some ideas that you can look at. But again, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the Sun Country. I've made concerted efforts to try and get to see most of you. And again, if I can ever be of help to you, please feel free to call me. Thank you.
Bruce, Mr. Vitale.
Perfect. Thank you, Dana, Jason, and the board for having me on the call today. I've worked for the PGA for almost 3 years now, and worked from home for majority of that, but this is way different. We've done a lot of video calls on my team as we've done this, but I've never been on 2 video meetings at the same time. I have 2 section meetings going on at the exact same time today. It's been definitely a challenging time, but I encourage everybody to stay positive and look towards how we're going to come out of this, because I think both PGA Junior League and our PGA coaches out there stand to bounce back big time when we get the all clear and this starts to lift. So as far as PGA Junior League is concerned, this current season is postponed until May 10th. We are closely following the guidelines of the CDC when we made that initial postponement, and looking to follow up if necessary. We're also closely trying to follow the local and state developments that seem to be happening every day or multiple times a day, to see how it will affect the season going forward, because PGA Junior League is a national program, and how we can support you on the local level is going to be really, really important as we come out of this. But you can follow along, for all those who are participating or are still interested in participating, at pgajuniorleague.com/safety. Has all of our updates as far as how our season's being impacted by this, and some of the best practices that you can take once it does lift. And then also on pgajuniorleague.com/community. We've got a page that we've set up. Right now, it's mainly a lot of the activities we had planned to send out to the kids in our new game guide for PGA Junior League this year, for just to help learn the game, learn some of the terminology, the format. We've been quickly converting those into digital things that the kids can do, just word searches and coloring pages and fun stuff to help golf be something that these kids can do while they're at home with their families. So check that out. And we're also starting a new captain video series. So we've got captains from all over the country that are submitting best practices of things kids can do at home. And we're going to start putting those all over social media on ways that kids can get connected. The first one should be going up today or tomorrow from your very own Henry Statina there, created the Statina Family Golf Course and a fun little activity that we hope to share here shortly. But what can you, PGA Junior League captains and coaches, do during this? We encourage you to start planning ahead and plan to be local, adaptable, and innovative. Those are the ways that our local programs are going to be able to bounce back much sooner than other youth sports. It's going to be a lot faster for families to feel comfortable on a golf course with a couple of their close friends that they made through your programs, rather than going into crowded basketball arenas and soccer fields with crowded sidelines. PGA Junior League, we believe, can bounce back quickly once we get the all clear. Keep recruiting, keep trying to market your programs to your kids. You do have a really flexible refund policy. The PGA Junior League is fully refundable up until when we ship the team kits out. So you can still get kids, try to put those parents at ease that might be hesitant to spend money right now. Say that, hey, if we can't get this done, or you don't feel like you want to do it when we get going, we can get those refunds processed. So keep trying to fill your rosters and keep students engaged, whether they're your PGA Junior League students or just other golf students that you have. Follow PGA Junior League on social media for some fun ideas. There's a ton of people out there that are all doing this right now, but try to find ways that you can connect with your consumers and students as well. And then as far as what can we all do during this, not just our PGA Junior League coaches, but building on what Linda was mentioning earlier, and thinking about the golf world and all of our golfers, try to think about how your customers are experiencing the world right now. And everyone's going to be different. I know I'm experiencing it much different than some of my peers, and some people in other states other than Colorado where I live are seeing this impact their lives in a completely different way. But do what you can to connect with them during this time. Try to connect with your consumers. I've been trying to connect with all of our PGA Junior League captains through our virtual coffee, which had our first on Friday. About 17 people joined to just talk ideas on coaching and PGA Junior League and how they can stay engaged and work through this. But how can you connect with your consumers and try to get them to think about the game of golf? There's probably no better thing to be preoccupying your mind with than the beautiful game of golf and how much joy it's brought to all of their lives, and frustration as well, but mostly the joy. And it gets them to distract themselves from the current situation that they're in and all the things they can't do. But try to get them to think about the things they will be able to do and stay engaged with them, whether it's just phone calls or email lists that let them know that you're thinking about them. Because when this all lifts, they're going to want to come back to golf. It's going to be one of the places that bounces back much sooner than others, like I mentioned. But try to get them to think about they have a friend in the golf business in their PGA professional. And when they come back, they're going to be looking to make those connections again and connect with people. And you can be that really good pathway for them to connect with the game of golf and get back out of the house in a responsible way. So thanks again for your time today. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat. I'll be on here for the rest of the meeting, or to reach out to me directly, avitali@pgahq.com. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Anthony. Pretty much everything's been said, so I'm just going to focus real quick on the staff. We have hired, I think the last time we met, we had an open position on staff. And since then, I think as of late February, we filled that position, which is our operations coordinator position. Nick Cass joined us. He's from California. So hopefully when we get back to business and on a first tee somewhere, you'll meet Nick hopefully in the near future, if possible. So that's our staff is fully up and running. These are kind of the core services that we're working on right now. Championships really are just kind of rescheduling and trying to be prepared for when the trigger does get pulled and we do, get back to business as usual. So there's a lot of, Nick mentioned it very eloquently earlier. It's trying to figure out, is there a possibility that we could combine some formats at some point if there's not enough room on the calendar to smash everything in that we may have to postpone? All of it obviously is dependent on how long we are delayed, and if we continue to have to postpone events, there may be a point that we reach that there's just not enough room on the calendar to smash all the events in. So we're looking at things like combining formats and those types of things. That being said, in talking with the board, I think there's going to be a real encouragement from the staff to the board and to the membership that at some point we may reach a point where there are a lot of dates on the schedule in September, October, November, and we may have some conflicts where things are on top of each other. And that may be one of those years where we just have to accept something like that. Not ideal, but we'll continue to evaluate each day, and the further we get into it, the better idea we'll have, and obviously more information to come. Growth of the game, as Anthony mentioned, and Vern and Linda did as well, very much in the same boat. Just trying to figure out when we're going to be able to get going again, and how that's going to affect the schedule if we need to postpone things and try to smash things, especially if we start getting into our junior tour dates in early June and those types of things. So I'm sure Reese will be reaching out to you, those of you that are involved not only in junior tour hosting, but PGA Junior League and the other junior activities we have going on as well, to try and coordinate those things. Member services really has been focused on communication. I hope you feel like we've done a good job. I've gotten solid feedback on it, but we'll continue to provide that for you when we can. And then education, trying to get an idea, especially if some are, as most of you are probably trapped at home more than you're used to. We're looking at some things, some webinars like this where we can do some education potentially, especially because the two things that we had scheduled for our spring meeting a couple of weeks ago, I thought were going to be really good. An hour on the World Handicap System. We've had obviously very important in your world right now, at least when we get back to business anyways. And then PGA.coach, which is an amazing tool that the PGA of America has put out. Over the years, there's been so many programs that have come out of the PGA of America. I've got a fairly good BS detector on them just from the feedback that I hear from the everyday member. And when I hear from members that dive into it and say, wow, this is really something, I take it very seriously, just because a lot of the times when the programs get rolled out, it's sort of put into the category of, well, it's just another program that's come out. So we've heard really, really good things on PGA.coach, and therefore I wanted to provide some education on it, because I know so many of you are so involved in coaching and teaching that, I think if you haven't dove into it yet, take some time to do that. It could be a really good tool for you. And we hope to have some education on it from the national level at some point as well, to be able to help you along with that. Here's your dates for the fall meeting. Again, tentatively, just because of all this fun Corona stuff. Most likely we'll meet on October 26th, which is the Monday. It will be an awards luncheon like it has been the last couple of years. And most likely in Albuquerque. The board is tended to want to do the fall meeting in Albuquerque, so I'm guessing we'll do that again, and we'll look for a site here in the next coming months once we're back in the office and people kind of have a better idea what their schedule looks like. And of course, when we get that locked in, we'll pass that along. So that being said, we'll move to open forum. I would encourage you to go ahead and throw me your questions via the chat function. And then I'll either, I'll pass them along to the appropriate director as to, to be able to answer any of your questions. So go ahead and fire that in. And while you're asking questions, just a couple of notes from me. The biggest on advocacy, which I think is, of all the, very important things we talked about today, I think the one that, just based on the feedback we've heard over the last couple of weeks, advocacy seems to be the hot button for so many obvious reasons. We are one of only 12 states that are not having golf courses open. Now, keep in mind, that's a little bit misleading from the standpoint that there are several states that are leaving it up to their municipalities. So our friends in Texas are a great example, right? That, you know, while the state has not mandated that golf courses close down, municipalities like Dallas and Houston and El Paso have decided to close down. So while states themselves, there's only 12, you know, you can also look at a place like Florida, where it looks like the southern half has a lot of heavy closures and the northern half is still tending to keep them open. So we'll see what comes of that in future days for us. But I've gotten a lot of questions about, you know, from both points of view. You know, golf courses definitely should be open to, we'd be crazy to have any golf courses open. And, you know, those are coming from PGA members. So appreciate the concerns on both sides. And what I would say is that, you know, this decision isn't up to us. So, you know, for those of you that are adamant on one side or the other, just keep in mind that the one, you know, that the government, our governor, has access to the federal government, the CDC, you know, top scientists and information and doctors. And so nobody's going to be able to make a better decision, you know, with her obviously wanting, you know, we've heard that she's nervous about the economy. So my guess is she's going to want to get to open, as soon as possible. And so in the end, though, it's going to be her decision, not ours. So now I think we're here to provide as much information as we possibly can. And in the end, she'll make a very educated decision and we'll play along. And hopefully we can get back to business, you know, much sooner than later. I've heard several people say, you know, a lot of good feedback on the letter that went to the governor and selected officials last Friday. We have not officially heard back from them, but we didn't really expect to, actually. They just asked for the letter. I will tell you that the lieutenant governor, we've been speaking with quite a bit through our lobbyist, has expressed the ability to potentially meet with our board of directors at some point, maybe later this week or early next week. So my guess is that will be kind of the first time we can have a more in-depth conversation about the potential of golf being open, what golf course activity would look like if it was open, you know, through social distancing policies, best practices, things of that nature. Now, keep in mind, if for some reason she got on the TV today and said, hey, all golf courses are open, you know, obviously it's going to be with some mandates and some expectations. And I would tell you that the leadership is going to press upon the membership extremely hard that we abide, because the second we don't, it's going to look extremely poor in the eyes of the public. And to Linda Howell's point, that is a serious black eye for us that would be very hard to recover from. And my hope is that when we do open up in that environment, that will create sort of a great environment for self-policing amongst yourselves, because it would be very much a shame on us if we had to close courses back down because of one or two bad actors who, for whatever reason, just didn't want to play along or didn't think that they had to. So I will tell you that the board is discussing many things around how are we going to encourage facilities to play by the rules, and hoping that they will want to anyways, and what kind of repercussions will be in place if for some reason, you know, a course or two decides not to, including, you know, code of ethics and all kinds of things. So hopefully it will never come to that. But just in case, you know, here's fair warning, and I'd encourage you to, you know, talk amongst your peers for those that were unable to attend today. Hopefully they'll receive that message as well. So haven't gotten really any questions, just a guesstimate on when courses will reopen, which, you know, we don't have one, unfortunately. I have no idea. I can tell you that, again, just in summary, that we've heard that the governor is very paranoid about the economy. So that's kind of why we pitched golf as a test case, knowing that, again, it would be her decision, but we're here to help her and assist her. And if we could, you know, all the better. But, you know, it could be next week. It could be 3 months from now. We have really we've gotten no guidance from the state government as to what their thinking is on a timeline, because to be honest, I don't think that they know either. We got a congratulations to Derek and the board, and thanks to Kenny Blake for putting yourself out there. So again, yes, thanks to Derek and to Kenny as well. For those of you that don't know, Kenny was the other guy that threw his hat into the ring for the district director position. So of course that's not an easy thing to do. So congratulations to them as well. Other than that, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'll give you one last opportunity. Jason, I don't know if you have anything that you want to wrap up with, or?
I would just reiterate again, I don't need to, as far as redundancy, a lot of great comments, Dana, there as far as advocacy and where we're at. We haven't heard back. As it's been stated, that went out on Friday. Today's Monday. But just know that we will continue to work through our lobbyists, continue to work through all channels available to us to make sure we have a finger on the pulse of what, decisions might be making, what they might be thinking to the, again, to the best of our abilities. And when we do have, as I mentioned before, good, accurate, and pertinent information that will help all of our members in our facilities, we'll be sure to send that out. It's a difficult time. We all understand that. And I think Anthony had some great points there. We just need to try to stay as positive as we can. We do know that our industry in New Mexico and by and large is throughout the country is positioned to be a first emerger, so to speak, to get things rolling, open space, health and safety first, exercise, body and mind. So I believe, again, our elected officials, specifically here in New Mexico, are getting all that, and they're just waiting for the right time. And hopefully it's, sooner than later, but again, we have to be patient. We're not the only industry that's affected. We're kind of doubly affected, or maybe even in more ways than one, being that we're a retail environment, being that we have food and beverage operations, we have our player development, our driving ranges, and in addition to obviously, our main revenue source being our golf revenue. So we will get you information as soon as we get it, and as soon as it is, again, accurate and up to date. So if we're not seeing any more, any more comments, again, you're going to be continuing to see information out there, and please don't hesitate if you have any questions you didn't want to ask them in this open forum. You could, for sure feel free to reach out to me or any of your officers or board, or to Dana at the section office. So with that, stay safe, be healthy, you and yours and your loved one, your staff and theirs, and hopefully we'll get through this, and we'll get through this together, right? So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
There was one on chat.
There was
There's a motion to adjourn on chat. And
there's a second, and I would say all those in favor, we're just going to assume that's going to be a yes. We don't have to go through all of that. So again, I appreciate everybody jumping on this call. I think we had, 60 or so participants. That's pretty good. And we'll continue to update you.
Thanks, guys.